What's good, YouTube? Um, it's DJ. I am recording this on October 23rd, 2025. Um, to be honest with y'all, today has been it's been not it. Let me say that. I went to get my car sent to the shop because it's been having some issues. I just got it like less than 30 days ago. Um, and already I've had issues like the parking brake was hard to press down. There was some squeaking on the wheel, um, even like a flickering light, not to mention the stereo I told you about. But there was even some water dripping from like the inside of my car. That was like one of the water drains was clogged, and I still need to fix that. But even beyond that, what I realized is that there was a major coolant leak going on, so I had that checked out. And my dad and I took it to AAA, and they quoted they called me up, and they were like, if there's a chance to return it, you should. And I'm like, it's that bad? And he was like, yeah, it's in rough shape. When we got there, when they broke down the list, like they quoted about $14,000 in repairs. I bought the car for not even $6,000, just barely, almost like $5,900. And when I tell you, I felt like a rage. It's like it's almost like hard to describe. Like it wasn't like I was throwing shit, but it was like I felt just like in my mind was like, oh, like even my stepmom was saying like you had a look on your face like you were gonna fight somebody, and that's honestly I felt it. Like I've been really good like at kind of suppressing my anger in my life, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. Like I haven't been able to like recognize it and process it as much. I've spent a lot of my life kind of taking a back seat to take care of other people's emotions. And so when I get mad, like I got like a pretty long fuse, but even for a situation like that, I was pissed. And I was just in a situation where it was like, not like when I was driving it like back to the dealership to talk to them about it. Yeah, I was crashing out in the car, honestly, because for me, a situation like this, even beyond like the money and all the money that like I'm gonna have to spend, another almost 2200 to get the water pump fixed, because that's a hazard. I can't drive it with that going on. Unfortunately, the dealer is able to fix it, or we talked to them, and it seems like when we got the Carfax from them, it didn't even look like there were a lot of major things that had been fixed on it, which means like even when I got the car, maybe like 26 days ago, 28 days ago, the water pump was doing just fine until like this last week. So even they didn't know about that. It's one of those situations where it's like, maybe I could have not rushed the decision so much. Maybe I had a bit of like rose-colored glasses on. This is my first car, but even with my dad helping me out, we made maybe a little bit some short-sighted mistakes. Um, Fortunately, AAA vastly overquoted, but and I won't have to necessarily pay 14 grand, but it's at a point where you know, let's just say like I got so mad and felt really like honestly kind of defeated. And it's not like I think I've in my life like what I've been through. I've been through a lot, but like for me, I think I've learned some like helplessness. Like I think that like it can be really easy for me to feel disempowered by situations because I've been in a lot of situations in my life where it's like no matter what I did, it didn't matter. You know? And like it's frustrating because I was my dad was asking me like, "Oh, are you okay? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. Like it's been a shit day. Like it's been stressful. Like I gotta pay all this extra money. Like having this happen to my car, especially when I just got it, it's like this was it's like a symbol of my freedom that I have fought for. I put blood, sweat, and tears into saving up that money. I already put in over $4,000, just on that, and I had a little bit of help from my dad, and he's been there to kind of help me work through the process. But I put in the majority of this money, and I'm still gonna have to pay for that water pump, and it's just frustrating because it's like you get like these steps forward for freedom, and then it feels like just another setback to knock you back down. And I told my dad, I'm like, the thing is, I'm used to setbacks, but I'm just real tired of having so many of them. I'm sure a lot of people have been in that situation, understand what I mean. Um, the things that are happening in my life right now, like I'll be honest, like on that ride to the dealer, like I was not acting grateful. I was mad. I was yelling at God. I was like, oh, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be grateful for that. Like, why is this happening? Like a lot of like, what was me? And it's one thing about getting your anger out, and it's okay to be upset, but it made me realize that I really need to work on my mindset. I think like it's really odd to me because I've lived in poverty most of my life until recently. I gave up a lot in my childhood. Like I had voluntary surgeries to be better at dancing. I gave up having a normal childhood. I moved across the country multiple times. I gave up friends, like proximity to friends and family. I gave up so much for the things that I was pursuing, and things just didn't shake out how I thought. And I get it. That's life, right? I understand that. And I don't have too much of a message here other than what I got when I opened my Bible app, and it went to Romans 12:12, where it said, rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in suffering, and be faithful in prayer. And it couldn't be a more fitting verse for today, honestly. And You know, you may not be religious, whoever you are. You may not believe in God, but it's one of those things in life where it's really like you, even though shit sucks, even though you're getting beat up by life, or you feel like just things are not fair, or like you get just a little bit and it like snatches it out from under you. That's kind of what I felt today. And it's not the end of the world. It's not like a complete loss. There's still ways to kind of recoup. You know, it's a setback for sure. But it's not the end. It's not something where I need to feel like I don't have any control or power over the situation, or I don't have any recourse to get back on my feet. And it can be really easy to feel that, but our feelings don't reflect reality most of the time, or if ever, because, you know, this is just making me realize that mindset is everything. It's everything. And what this made me realize today is that I got a lot of work to do on that. Not that I haven't put in work, but it just, gratitude is important. And I'm starting to understand why it can be really easy to just think about everything that's wrong. And, you know, if you come from a situation, you know, or a background where you've just constantly been putting out fires your whole life, or you just feel like you're always just a few missteps away from, you know, being homeless, or like just right on the edge of like you're in survival mode all the time, it is so difficult to look at a shitty situation and be like, you know what? I'm glad that I'm breathing today. It can be hard to do that. I think only when you really like go through something like that and you get out of it, and then you get back into another kind of bad situation like I've done in this with this car situation. It's like, look, I didn't have a car 2 months ago. I was still in a toxic environment just less than 2 months ago. You know, like saying it's the same. Like perspective is huge here, and I realize that I need that. So yeah, I mean, you know, remember Romans 12:12 if you can. You know, um, rejoice in hope, uh, be patient in suffering, and be faithful in prayer. And even if you're not religious, I think what that just really means is that there's always things that could be worse. It could always be worse. I know that for a fact. It could always be worse, and it has been. But when you're down for so long and you get up a little bit and then you go right back, just have moments where it's like, you know, it doesn't even you get up a little bit, it doesn't mean life is going to be easy. It doesn't mean you're not going to be down again. You know, I think that honestly, and it's something I need to maybe work on, or I definitely need to, is like, just because you suffered doesn't mean you're like, you know, doesn't mean you're entitled to an easy life. Nobody's really entitled to an easy life at all, but like, even if you've suffered and you've had, you know, you've been in poverty, or you've had a broken family, or you've just dealt with a lot of trauma in one way or another, it doesn't entitle you to anything at all. Anything. And that's the hard pill to swallow, is like, you can get beat up. And it's like, if you don't get up, you're going to be sitting on the ground. And if you stay on the ground, you're going to keep getting beaten while you're on the ground. So you're going to stay on the ground, you're going to get up. And that doesn't mean you can't cry, you can't be mad. Like, do all those things, but do them and get back up. It's like, just feeling that way doesn't stop you from moving forward, from rising above and moving forward. It doesn't stop you from that. And I think that's the biggest thing I need to learn right now. Or I'm in the process, God's teaching me that right now, I think. So that's it for today. It's gonna be alright. I'm lose a couple grand. But things could be worse. And I hope anybody who sees this can remember that and be like, hey, there's other people that are going through this, and I know that, like, the world sucks right now. And the more that I'm kind of out of the survival mode that I was in the old environment, I now am able to process a lot of that anger and sadness that I put down. And I'm feeling a lot more of it and realizing just how much I feel angry at things. And it's like, yeah, you can feel that way, but don't let it trap you, because it will if you let it. But the key to remember is that you don't have to let it. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your day whenever you're watching this. God bless. Much love, and keep moving forward, alright?